After all, Luke is definitely not a city boy. His #1 singles include a fan favorite, Huntin', Fishin', and Lovin' Every Day. Bryan has built his career on telling stories about that simple, small-town life. But tonight, he hits prime time, co-hosting the American Country Music Awards for a 5th time. Willie sat down with the Country Music Association's Entertainer of the Year before the first of 2 sold-out stadium shows in Foxborough, Massachusetts.
How many guitars you travel with, you know?
Too many. About two. Too many.
And she said, play it again, play it again, play it again.
Luke Bryan has collected more guitars than he can count during his long road trip from a small town in South Georgia to the biggest stages in music.
I actually did some math. Leesburg, Georgia, population about 2,800.
Right.
You could fit 21 Leesburg, Georgia in this stadium right here. Isn't that crazy? So let's go back to Leesburg, Georgia.
Yeah.
You remember the music that was on in your house?
My parents, you know, the radio stations in their cars were on the radio, on country radio. From Ronnie Millsap to Kenny Rogers to George Strait to Alabama. We were as country as kids could be country. But somehow we would be listening, you know, NWA made it into our world somehow, and Eazy-E and the Beastie Boys.
So when did you get your first guitar then? You remember?
I was probably the summer that I turned 14.
Taught yourself?
Yeah, I taught myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I taught myself chords, and then I had a piano in my room, so I'd learn a few chords on piano. And at that point, I realized I'm going to be a horrible athlete. I recognized that and got a little band together, and I would play guitar.
After high school, Luke was ready to take that guitar to Nashville. But with his bags packed, tragedy struck the Bryan family. Luke's older brother, Chris, was killed in a car accident.
When Chris passed away, I was 19 years old, fixing to chase my dream, and it just totally rocked our family's world, rocked my world.
You feel like you had to grow up pretty quickly when that happened?
It makes you appreciate chasing dreams. You know, you're like, hey, you get one go-round at this thing called life, and it's very fragile, so you better go after your dreams.
Come on.
Bryan put his Nashville dream on hold, heading off to college at Georgia Southern University, where he played in a band and met his wife, Caroline. After graduation, Luke finally made that delayed trip to Music City, where he caught on as a songwriter.
I could have been a songwriter forever and had #1 hits as a songwriter, and that would have completed my dreams. I felt that given the right scenario, I had the ability to really entertain some people and really make a difference. And I was always kind of shooting for that chance.
I was a rock star.
He got that chance in 2007 with his first album, I'll Stay Me, which spun off a couple of top 10 hits.
What all my friends say. Yeah.
In the decades since, Bryan has become one of the biggest acts in all of music, selling nearly 8 million albums and putting out 17 #1 songs.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Luke Bryan!
Love you so much. Thank you.
You got your hands up, you're rocking in my truck.
You play songs to throw a party. You want people to have a good time, and you make no apologies for that.
Right, I want people to have a blast. Do I get judged on maybe not as being artistic as the next artist for that? Maybe. But I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like my art is the ability to get people together and make them have a good time, to the point to where they may not even have meant to have had such a good time. You better get to moving tonight.
I've got to ask you, the moves. It's a little bit of Elvis. It's a little bit of Chippendales.
The moves happened from the soul, the spirit, from deep within. I don't know. I mean, most of the time it's just being playful, and if I can do all that, then they immediately realize, heck, I can too, and that's the fun part about it. So
well, my wife appreciates that.
well,
Your ability to have
I'm
fun
sorry,
with those jeans.
I'm sorry, I'll teach you a move or two backstage.
So what's the song you'll play tonight that will make this place explode? Is there one number where every time you play it?
I mean, it's a tie, definitely between I Don't Want This Night to End and Country Girl Shake It For Me. I Don't Want This Night to End is pretty daggum spiritual. But then everybody's here to hear Country Girl Shake It For Me. It's pretty magical.
But in between the hip swivels and the party songs, Luke Bryan can slow it down too, singing about much heavier subjects.
When I got the news today.
11 years after the death of his brother, and just as his rise began, Luke suddenly lost his sister Kelly. Then, in 2014, tragedy struck again. Kelly's husband died, leaving the couple's 3 children without a mom or a dad. Luke and Caroline opened their door immediately, adding 3 more kids to their family of 4.
And it's an amazingly emotional, tough moment watching these children navigating life without parents. We just want to be positive for them.
And drink a beer.
All that loss is packed into one of Bryan's biggest hits, Drink a Beer, a song not about tailgating, but about missing the people you've lost.
So long, my friend.
Longtime friend and collaborator Chris Stapleton wrote the track. Luke talks about his buddy like a proud big brother.
Drink a beer.
There's so many talented people running around Nashville, but it's just not in the stars sometimes. So when you line it all up and it does happen, and
somebody who deserves it, who's got
that's
real
the thing.
talent.
Yeah, totally. But
The stars certainly have lined up for Bryan, who at 40 years old doesn't take any of it for granted.
Caroline says growing old is a privilege, and it is. I love the wisdom of 40. I'm not sure I love the sore knees at the end of a show, certainly a stadium show, but with all the stuff that's certainly happened to me and my family, I think it's important for me to inspire people that you've had some bumps in the road, but you can still try to walk through your daily life pretty optimistic and having a blast with it.
Hunting and fishing and loving every day.
40 looks pretty good on him. You can catch Luke on his hunting, fishing, and loving everyday tour this spring. Next stop, Fort Lauderdale. To get a backstage tour of Luke's collection of guitars, check out our Sunday Today web extras at today.com/Sunday.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.